The first half of 2014, or at least up until the summer started, was pretty void of memories. Like I said, in my life in 2013, my 8th grade school year in general was just very boring. The online school was just very boring. I mean, there was when we made that How to Beat Flappy Bird video, when Flappy Bird blew up. I remember Frozen Let It Go was huge. Like, Frozen in general was huge. Like, my sister and her friends would spend the night, on weekends, and they would, like, literally watch Frozen, like, multiple times. I was still, like, really into the music charts, following those all the time. Played Eden a lot. That was really the only game I can remember really being into. And that's pretty much how it was, Nothing special. Which is the point, which is why 8th grade was so boring. Online school was so boring. And the whole school year, I was in a constant state of being behind right from the start. So I barely passed that school year. So they compiled an overall average grade of all your grades from all the classes, and one project let me pass 8th grade. It was an art project, and I didn't even do that good on it. And the art teacher knew that she held in her hands this grade on this one assignment to push me above 50%. And she gave me 100% on it. And because that one assignment, I got like 50.1% or something, and barely passed 8th grade. Like, I'm not even joking. Literally one assignment determined me passing. I could have been held back, which is crazy to think about, like how different my life would be if I got held back that year. But still, I barely passed. June 10th was the last day of that school year. Now, I remember this school year, like everyone's school, there were a bunch of snow days that year. Everyone else, all my friends, didn't get out of public school till June 13th. To this day, that's the latest still. June 13th was actually the first day of summer. So the big thing that was going on in my life was My Little Pony. I was a Brony. So my friend Corey had actually been a Brony for years, like since 2012. And every once in a while, he would actually show me like My Little Pony videos, but I didn't even pay attention to it, and he didn't really talk much about it. It wasn't until like around April-ish that he actually started putting on the show when he would come over. And inevitably, I ended up watching some of it, and I liked it. And I consider April 15th the day that I became a Brony. I don't remember, it's not one of those things I remember exactly when, but I remember it must have been around the middle of April that I finally came to the conclusion that I liked the show and I was officially a Brony. And then that summer, now, my best friend Patrick, I think March 29th was the exact day. Patrick actually moved down to Detroit, and his family, and I remember crying that day. It really was a devastating day, but Patrick ended up moving to Detroit. He no longer lived like just down the road, and yeah, it was sad. But what that meant is this summer, now that Patrick wasn't there, like just like in previous times that Patrick wasn't there, Corey stepped in and kind of, I guess, filled the void, and me and Corey's friendship really blossomed this summer. So me and Todd didn't hang out that much this summer. It was pretty much Corey, and because we really bonded over being Bronies. We were both like big time Bronies. We were so into it. Like, we literally were always watching it, or we'd be watching like Brony fan made stuff on YouTube. And the whole summer I was obsessed with this song Discord by The Living Tombstone, the remix. To this day, it's on my top 50 list, number one. To this day, I still have never been into a song more than I was into that. Like, I love that song so much. And, that whole summer we were just, My Little Pony was just such a big part of it. Specifically, like, me and Corey. Like, me and Mason, our friendship actually was kind of over. And it was over this stupid drama. It was such a little thing, but, because I was so mature back then, I would start drama all the time. That whole summer, Mason, wasn't even, there, a part of my friendship. A part of my life that summer. Same with Patrick. Me and Todd, well, actually, no. We hung out with Todd a lot still at his house. But he was not into the Brony thing at all. In fact, it annoyed him a lot. Patrick, even though he wasn't there with us, he actually became a Brony too. We still had contact with him on Facebook. So, we still talked online sometimes, but, that was the first summer ever since we became friends that Patrick wasn't in the equation. So it was mainly me, Corey, and Todd that summer. And Corey was the only one who was there who was also, really into My Little Pony. So we really, bonded over that. And, I remember there was this day that the first time I watched the season 4 finale at his house and with Todd there, and we literally were jumping up and down, rolling on the floor. We were freaking out over it, and Todd was just sitting there all annoyed. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. But yeah, we were so into My Little Pony. We were such big bronies back then. And we would watch Brony documentaries and stuff. My Little Pony was just probably was just a huge thing that year in my life. And was really a big part of that summer. And then once again, just like the last year, I spent most of the time at Todd's or at my home that year. But once again in July, so then for my 15th birthday, once again not on my birthday but on July 1st, a week later, I got the Wii U. And I remember this was before the Wii U was really deemed a failure. The Wii U wasn't really doing well, but this was before it was really being deemed a failure. So I was excited about it. But I remember it was just because at the time in my mind I was trying to compare it to 3 years earlier when I got my 3DS and how awesome that was. And it just wasn't as awesome. The Wii U just didn't have that same magical feeling to it. And I remember I was actually depressed that day by the end of it because I was underwhelmed with the Wii U. The only game I had to start was New Super Mario Bros. U, and that was underwhelming. So, but then I did download some other games and I got into those. And then I started really realizing how awesome Miiverse is. I still miss Miiverse. And I spent more time on Miiverse than anything else. It was, basically Facebook for Nintendo. It was so fun. And I actually for Miiverse standards, I actually got pretty popular while I had that Wii U. But yeah, I started spending a lot of time on Miiverse too. Yeah. So then, and Wii U chat. This was actually, so yeah, there were a couple friends specifically. One guy named Sean Briggs. To this day, I still can't find him. That was his name, Sean Briggs. I have no idea where in the world he is to this day. And then there was some other guy. And there were a bunch of other people, I would Wii U chat with, video chat with on the Wii U. So yeah, the Wii U became a big part of the summer. And then just like the last year, I was really into Grandma's house. And this year, Corey actually spent quite a few nights over there with me. So, my cousin Justin, and his family, their house burned down way back in 2008. They used to live literally in the same trailer park as us until their house burnt down. and they moved all the way to Arkansas. Now, in February 2014, they moved in with my grandma and grandpa, only half an hour away from us, into my grandma's house. And so for the first time in years, me and my cousin Justin were reunited. Now, as kids, we were kind of close. We were close. So this was a huge deal. And so I started spending weekends at grandma's house with Justin there. And me and Justin got really close to each other again. And they found a church, Life Point Apostolic Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. To this day, it is still our church. And we started going there, and it changed my life. That church is the reason I'm so close to God like I am now. Lord, thank you so much for leading us to that church. Life Point, the best church ever. We all started going there. So now Justin was a part of my life now, which was awesome. And me and Justin were really close. So this summer also, so Justin was a big part of this summer. Anytime I'd go to grandma's now, it wasn't just grandma and grandpa, now it was Justin. Now there was also Justin and my aunt and uncle, which was awesome. So, yeah. So that summer was... So those first couple months of the summer were the time I spent was pretty split evenly between my house and grandma's house. Now something huge was coming up. Now every year, my grandma and grandpa went to Washington State because I have cousins who live out there. This year, they offered me to go, and of course I took it. And they paid for it, the plane ticket, everything. August 13th, 2014, I rode on a couple planes to Washington State, where I would spend the few best weeks of my whole life with my cousins in Washington. To this day, those 3 weeks I spent in Washington at the end of the summer were probably the best weeks of my whole life. I had never, closest thing I'd ever come to adventure in my life before that was like to a grocery store. So this was a huge deal. Living in a whole nother state with a whole nother family for a few weeks. And it was awesome. Of course, all these videos, I have videos of that time, on my channel back in 2014. I wish I did a better job because there were so many, there were so many things I should have recorded that I didn't. Because back then I was still pretty insecure and shy, or at least much more than I am now. Now, if I did that now, I would record everything. But back then I was too shy to pull out my camera and record. That's why all the videos were mostly just at the house on an average day. But I made so many memories. I rode on a boat for the first time. We hiked up a mountain. And then of course we went, me and my cousin Caleb, who now works at Nintendo, went to PAX East, which was my first, and to this day, actually, that's the only convention I've ever been to this day, and it was amazing. While I was there, Caleb had an awesome 18th birthday party. Oh my gosh, there were just so many memories, so many awesome things we did while I was there. It was really the best time of my whole life. It was awesome. And I love my cousins out there. It was awesome. So that was an amazing way to end the summer. So we came back from that at the start of September, and I actually missed the first week of school because I was still out there. And so I remember when I was getting driven back home, it was on a Friday, so it was the start of the first weekend of the school year. I was getting driven back home, and I was greeted with the surprise welcome back home party with Patrick. So Patrick, I actually saw Patrick one other time since he moved that year, and that was for literally 15 minutes. Like him and his parents showed up for like 15 minutes, and that was it. So this was my true first time getting to see and hang out with Patrick since he moved, like 5 months earlier, which back then was like a long time. Now 5 months is barely anything, but back then 5 months was it was a long time. So it was a huge deal, and it was awesome. So that weekend Patrick was there, and Todd, Corey, Mason, they were all there. We all like had an awesome weekend together. And then I started high school. September 8th, 2014 was my first day of high school. And it actually did not go well. I remember I was actually crying on the bus on the way home because for some reason mom or dad didn't give me any school supplies, so I was literally holding a ton of papers with no folder or anything, and I was just so stressed out because I had to get caught up on all the stuff they went through the first week. But thankfully, this freshman high school would turn out to be awesome. Definitely better than middle school. And yeah, Lord, thank you so much for all the memories made in high school. So yep, I started high school. So my my typical day freshman year, would be like. So yeah, that's pretty much how my freshman year went. I would go on Miitomo. I would go on Miiverse after school, Once again, I was pretty absent on YouTube at this time. But yeah. So, yep, that's what I would do. I remember the bus rides were really fun. I did great with, like, my grades. Freshman year, it was so easy. Yeah. In November, my grandma Mississippi got me Mario Kart 8, and I got really into it. I got straight up addicted to Mario Kart 8 for a few months in the winter. Yeah, I played it all the time, and I'm like a beast in it. Not to brag or anything, but I'm like really good. Honestly, that's one of the best video games I'm like the best at. I'm like a beast at Mario Kart. So I was like pretty much addicted to that. So anyways, me and Austin, our friendship was going really well too at school. We were pretty close school friends. It wasn't until November 25th, 2014 that he spent the night for the first time, and it went pretty good, Of course, we're ex-friends now. But he was like really fun and innocent and like silly and random like us, the rest of us. And yeah, we had a great friendship starting. So yeah, me and Todd's friendship, me and Austin's friendship started November 25th, 2014. And so yeah. And I was like addicted to Mario Kart 8. And then for that Christmas, my grandma got me an iPad mini. So I upgraded from the iPod Touch 4th gen, which I think I gave to Dad, to an iPad mini, which was awesome. So yep, so I got that for Christmas, and yep, that's pretty much how 2014 ended.